Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can anybody hear me? Okay, give me 1 second to get the chat bumped to the right part of the screen here. That works. And okay. So if anybody bumps in today, if I catch Red Walrus, if you're here, if you get here, ask any questions, I will be here. I'm going to type that into the chat. But we are only here for about 10 to 15 minutes, so let's get rolling here with the title here of Avoid Notes. And I've got that, I thought, I saw a video the other day about avoid notes, and I thought, hey, that would be kind of a good video to give a take on. So I've got a concept about avoid notes, and here it is. The term avoid notes can be argued, and I think here is why. Because it's really one part of a 3-step deal. And it's basically your levels of playing proficiency, beginner, intermediate, proficient. Let's not go for expert, right? But beginner, intermediate, and reasonably proficient guitarist, okay? So in these 3 levels, avoid notes do exist. And that is for a level 1 guitar. So we're going to say beginner, intermediate, and proficient. So basically, to a when you play a scale, you're selecting 7 out of 12 notes that are in the key, and those notes will always sound right. And that becomes the goal of the beginner player, because for those of you who are at these levels, if you can get confused when people talk like this or bring this up, if you can remember back to that time when you really didn't know anything about anything, and when you put your fingers on the fretboard, you played good notes and all these awful notes, and you just wondered how anybody played guitar, because it just doesn't make any sense to you, and it doesn't magically happen. So that's when you're at this point. When you begin to learn the major scale, it becomes interesting that you now know notes that will sound good under your fingertips. Choices that you make will sound good. It becomes very important to avoid the non-scale notes, so you can begin to sound like you know what you're doing and build your confidence. So for a beginner, there are definitely avoid notes, which I'll show you where they are. So the first thing is just kind of knowing where they are. Let's get that in the focus here. Is knowing where they are. Then, once you get to that point where you get really confident about where they are and know how to avoid them, things in your playing may change a little bit. As a beginner guitarist, you say, okay, man, I can play, I can do this. And then you realize, I need to jazz up my playing. It's soundings now. I can do this, but you find yourself a little bit boring. No, not really. I mean, there's plenty of interest in just playing major keys, but you'll hear other guitarists that just sound a little bit more dazzling, and they're into these other 2 zones here, levels. So the next level, from there, not that you know where all the notes are, but you want to start jazzing up your playing. Well, actually, that's actually level 3. Let's get to level 2 first. Now, you'll find that once in a while, your fingers slip, you made a bad choice, you had a brain fart, and you still hit what these avoid notes are. But in level 2, you learn how to handle them. There's a little trick you can do with them, and this trick has been expressed recently. I learned it from Victor Wooten. If you handle those avoid notes properly, you can incorporate them into your playing, which relaxes you and makes you more comfortable and in the zone playing around these avoid notes. And when you get them, you can comfortably handle it properly. The Victor Wooten trick is pretty simple, which we'll go over when you see it manifested on the fretboard. The trick is move up a note or move down a note. How could that even work? How can there always be a good note next to a bad note? We'll go over that. In level 3, these become choices. Or we're going to call them special spices. Kind of like you jazz up a meal. You know that it's very sustaining to have, let's just say that your choice of basic meals to keep you sustained was rice and vegetables. And as far as I know, people could live on that day after day after day. But what happens? That becomes pretty bland after a while. You need to spice it up. So people begin to put different things into the food to spice it up. I don't know if that was a great example, but these notes, these avoid notes, could actually be chosen for their ability to sound out on an off beat for just a second. So you're choosing them to slide into a good note, or for whatever reason to when you become good at playing, the next thing also happens, that you get into the groove of playing. You take your good notes, your ability to find all these great new notes, and stay off of the not so great sounding notes in the beginning. Oh, my point just dissolved. But it's a good point. Sorry. Man, so something else is taking my attention away, and I'm having a brain fart here live on camera. So this is why you make videos and not go live on YouTube. But you will just basically, I'm sure you guys are getting that you'll choose these on the beat. That's what I was getting for. You get good at rhythm and being in the pocket here, and these become a special choice for you as a proficient guitarist that is getting into the, I'm going to say, jazzier side. I'm not telling you that this is the secret to jazz or anything like of the sort. That's a lot of knowledge that is above the basics here. But if you want to become, if you're at the basics, if you want to step up to that intermediate level, or feel like, you can classify yourself as intermediate now that you know that. And if you want to think, if you're proficient, get into the groove. Okay, so I would say I'm still intermediate, professing or progressing, trying to progress to that point where I feel like I'm proficient. And so this will be the day, a day too late and a dollar short is what it's going to be. Anyways, I would draw out a major scale here, but you know what I'm actually going to do here? I'm going to do something kind of trick. I'm going to make all these gray shaded notes, and I'm going to choose 5 of them, and I'm going to draw them in a well-known shape. I'm sure all of you just identified this shape as the pentatonic, based on the 6th fret. So like this. Up here, can you see the fretboard? So we got to move on, assuming that you're all super familiar with your pentatonic shape and its corresponding shapes. So let's rock this out here really fast, because we don't got a lot of time. I got to shut this down in about 5 minutes. As a matter of fact, I do have to go check on my rice, which is cooked. This is going to be my lunch today. So, oops, a little messed up a square there, but that's why we use pencil. So making all these, what would you call these? They're a little darker than the rest. Would you call these black keys? And if you call these black keys, well, you'd be right. And where are we going from here? So we're back at the start here. Here's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And back at the start for our rows of pentatonic. And what we've created in between here, guess what all these white notes are now? Let's get it all completed across the board here. And all the leftover white notes are notes of the major scale. Yes, indeed, Sir Bob. If we shift our focus away from the pentatonic that we just drew and take it down to right here, we know our 4 square boxes there. This is always our root note. That would be the root note of our major scale, and these shaded in areas are the avoid notes. The avoid notes made a pentatonic scale. How the hell can that even happen? Well, it's really evidence right before your eyes on a piano keyboard, which I think we can see if I grab the camera here, go right there. All those black keys, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All 5 of those are pentatonic in nature. That's the all the flat keys, and they're by themselves are a pentatonic scale. And think about the math involved. You have 12 notes. You have 7 in a major scale. 7 minus 12 is 5, right? So you have 5 notes left over, 5 notes in a pentatonic scale. What do you know? The black keys are a pentatonic scale. So if you draw a pentatonic scale, a half step up from your major key, using this shape here, if you can see that, wherever you get a major scale. So there's your avoid note. So what to do, you'll notice Victor Wooten's trick shows up right away, and it shows up on the piano too. Surrounded by the black key is a white key. So, for example, no matter what key you're playing in, let's say you retuned your piano so that the white keys were the key you were playing in, or just the key that they are, C, the key of C. And you can see that anytime, it would just be any wrong note is as if you're hitting a black key. On a piano, it's nice, they're kind of out of the way, harder to hit. And you can make the choice to hit them when you want to. On a guitar, not so much. They're not apparent, and because of your ability to just move that scale anywhere, you wouldn't want that painted on your fretboard, locking you into one idea. So it's not apparent on a guitar fretboard, and it's not sometimes obvious to a new guitar player that that's the simple fact of the matter. But once you do this, you can see it. Any of these, if you were playing in this key, let's say that you were playing this chord here, we're on the 3rd fret, E, so you'd be playing a G major chord. Anytime you hit one of these black squares, it's going to sound outside of that key. So, when I hit some of those wrong, quote-unquote, avoid notes, there, you see I just took a wrong note, started it on purpose, and just slid right into the next note up, which was going to be a good note. And I happen to know that the rest of the scale around that good note, so tried it both ways, sliding. I think I'm doing too many things and confusing people. So anyways, just taking a bad note, sliding it into to give it an extra little bit of sound there, steps you into that intermediate level. Once you know where these are, you can purposely avoid them, but if you accidentally hit one, you know what to do with it. And if you begin to start trying to hit them on purpose and doing something with them, sliding up into a good note, or seeing if in a fast line you can incorporate these some way on an off beat. If you really get into the pocket of music, this becomes a rhythm game. So there you go. I'm going to leave you with that idea for today. You got two things out of this video, I think. A bang for your buck. If you want to support me with $1 on Patreon every month, you can get one of these every day. If I got 1,000 people to give me $1 every day, I would do this every single day, all day long. Is that understood? Or at least 5 days a week or something like that. So that's the challenge out there. What did you get for your money today? If you and your money, you got this for free if you're not supporting. And that's your gift. No problem there. Totally cool with that. But I do support and appreciate my subscribers and Patreons. But I want to say that I appreciate all of you guys as subscribers, especially my 2 new ones that I just got in the last 2 days. But anyways, what did you get out of today's lesson? You got the ability to draw a major scale really quick, trick way, by just shading in a pentatonic scale. You just got to know where to shade it in to create put a dot where you want your big square to be, and you're good. If big square just was like, what? Because you're new to these videos, check out my other videos and you'll understand all of that jargon. And the second thing you got, was this avoid note theory, where in the beginning those will be avoid notes. Learn to know how it functions. Learn to visualize Victor Wooten's trick. Oh, you're always safe. Bad note, safe. Bad note, safe. Bad note, safe. Bad note, safe. Find one that doesn't have one. You can't. So you learn that trick and how to graduate that into different levels of guitar playing. I hope you had a informative lesson today, and have a great day.